One more minute, guys. Then we live. One more minute. Bro, hold on, y'all. I think it just messed up. I ain't gonna lie.
Wait.
All right, we live, guys, but I'm kind of I can't see it. That's the weird thing. We live on Facebook, guys. Everybody join up, man. Join up, everybody. Join up. Live debate. Razor Brooks versus Blessed Mindset. Join up, everybody. Okay. All right. We're going to wait a couple minutes and then we're going to start the debate. We got 3 viewers already. 3 viewers. We're going to wait until a few more people get in. And then we're going to start the debate. I'm going to pass it off my man Egg. Everybody like, comment, share the video. Comment if you got any questions. Me and my boy Razor in this joint. You have any questions,
All right,
Razor, before we start?
no, I'm ready to go. As soon as everybody get in and whatnot, we can get it started.
Okay, I'm gonna wait. I'll wait a few more minutes. Let people come in, and then we gonna start up. Everybody join up. Everybody join up. Live debate is about to get crazy. I'm telling you. We got my man Egg in the building, about to moderate this thing, man. And my boy Razor. I'm gonna wait one more minute, then we gonna start up, y'all. It's been about 3 minutes. Share the video, guys. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. Egg, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you, brother.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen and ladies of the audience, welcome to our debate today. I have here 2 fine gentlemen willing to put themselves out on the line. I'd like to thank you both for coming before this audience today, just briefly. Before we begin, and if I may remind us of something a great man said about exactly this kind of event, the Honorable Theodore Roosevelt. He said this: He said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat." Our topics today are going to be as follows. We have on the table, firstly, moral realism versus moral relativism. We have our second topic, systematic racism versus cultural explanation. And lastly, we have DEI versus meritocracy. Gentlemen, I want to have you both give your opening statements on our first topic today, which will be our opening topics for the entirety of our event here. If not just for the first topic, however you wish to do it. I think we'll start first here with Mr. Razor, as we've agreed upon beforehand.
All right, hello. How's it going? I'm Razor Brooks, and today I'll be explaining how morals are culturally created over time and how we as a society determine what's deemed immoral or not, how DEI helps break down systemic barriers that have been in place and promotes opportunity for people they didn't have before, thus creating a more efficient and diverse community. Lastly, I'll be speaking on the racial disparities that we experience due to systems and policies made throughout history in order to maintain inequality. And that wraps up my opening statement.
Thank you very much, my friend. Blessed Mindset, your opening statement, sir.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. First off, I want to thank my brother, Razor Brooks, for coming out to this debate today, and Egg for moderating this debate. Today, I am debating Razor Brooks. He is a sharp debater, and I respect his worldview. I think some of his arguments are strong, but there are flaws within his worldview. First, when it comes to meta-ethics, Razor believes in a God, but he is a moral relativist, which is a contradiction. You cannot socially construct your morals when God creates and gives you morals, because if you try to create your own morals, you will go against God's morals, and through my opponent's viewpoint, that will be a sin. Let me give some quick definitions. Objective means independent of the mind, and subjective means dependent of the mind. I am a divine command theorist, so I ground my morality in God. God creates morals, and God is independent of the human mind. But my opponent's views on morality are that morality depends on us humans, but he still believes in a God, which is a contradiction. Second, I want to make clear that there was systemic racism and hatred done to Black Americans throughout the history of America, and my position is never to dismiss that. My position is clear and grounded in logic. If we were to do a skillful economic analysis on the disparities we see in America today, we would come to the conclusion that not every disparity is due to discrimination or racism, as my opponent claims. Black Americans are in a worse position now than they were in the 1960s. There was way more racism in the 1960s, but Black Americans were prospering more before the 1960s than they are today. According to the economist Thomas Sowell, the poverty rate for Black Americans went from 87% to 47% from the 1940s to the 1960s, which means that Black Americans were prospering economically at a high rate even during the time of so much racism. After slavery, Black Americans were in better structured households, and most Black kids grew up in two-parent households after slavery. 30 years after the Civil Rights era, most Black kids grew up without a father in the household, which led to higher crime rates, higher STD rates, worse education, and more nihilism. These social programs cripple Black Americans, not because the actions by the welfare state weren't compassionate, but because redistribution made Black Americans more dependent on the system now more than ever. My prescription to the Black community is to get married, stay away from drugs, stay away from crime, follow God, build back the nuclear family, and do not depend on the government. There was systemic racism in the past, but I do not think systemic racism exists today when Black married couples' poverty rate is under 10%, and Asian Americans make more money and have better education than the average white man. How is there systemic racism against Black Americans when you compare the average Black married couple to a single white parent, male or female, and the Black married couple is making more income economically? If Black married couples can be successful, I believe the average Black person can as well. Last but not least, when we talk about DEI, DEI is a good idea, but it is not a good reality. When I say diversity, I want to be clear and say diversity isn't a bad thing. It's only bad if it's placed above competency. Diversity should not be the goal for this nation. Competence should be the goal. The person with the most skills should be in position, not the color of someone's skin or gender. We can see Black Americans and we can see Black Americans and people from different genders such as LeBron James, Oprah Winfrey, Jackie Robinson, and Barack Obama get to the top of the hierarchy without a problem because they are skillful. So I do not care about a person's race, color, or religion. I promote equal opportunities, not equal outcomes. And DEI tends to lead to equality of outcomes. The highest levels of skill should be the goal for this nation, not diversity.
Is that the end of your statement, my brother?
Yes, that's the end of it.
Oh, very nice, gentlemen.
I believe the best place for me to start would be the last thing you spoke on, which is DEI.
Wait, hold on, brother. We got it like kind of systematically ran to where Egg is moderating. So, Egg, go on.
I was just gonna say, very nice. I think obviously, Bless has had a lot bigger of an intro, so I think it's only fair that Razor does get to sort of go first in his rebuttal.
Okay.
And I think give him a good few minutes to rebut whatever it is he thinks he needs to about your statement. I think that would be just fair. And then if you feel it's time to get something back in about what he said, then we'll see about doing that. So I think, but first let's open up the floor to Mr. Razor here. I think Razor's got the right instinct to respond here, I think.
Okay, but let me ask you this just before we start. Are we going to go off of the prompts, or we're just going to free flow completely anything? Because I wanted to go off each prompt. And then he can go first.
Yeah, let's try to stick with one topic at a time if we can, so that way we'll keep this conversation clean. We'll start first. I think it's best if you both sort of decide at this point where you want to start first. Obviously, I know your preference, Blessed. I know you would like to start in the moral realism versus moral relativism, I believe.
Yes.
But if Razor has a different idea.
Right. Okay, so Razor, will you do...
I'm better off starting... just from the most recent thing, so I just want to go basically backtrack from what you said. So like the last thing you spoke about was DEI, so that's where I would like to start at.
DEI? Okay, I guess that's fair. That's cool.
All right, so let's start there then. So Razor, go ahead with your rebuttal of whatever it is you have to say, if it's a rebuttal or if you just have more remarks to make. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'd like to argue that DEI is focused on merit as well as diversity. DEI just helps people get opportunities that they ordinarily would not be able to obtain. These people are not any less qualified than any other candidates. America is a diverse country, so DEI ensures that everybody gets a fair shake. The company won't be all white and all men's and things like that, because the diversity in our society is beneficial to have diversity in the workplace to better represent our community. We live in a place that was built on discrimination, and DEI promotes diversity and prevents discrimination from holding people back who didn't have the same advantages as other people. So meritocracy is actually welcome, but the way the world is, there might be some unconscious biases that prevent the most qualified person who is black or of a minority status from obtaining the position. White people make up 58% of the United States. So without DEI, there would be nothing stopping them from appointing all white people to executive and lead positions. And DEI keeps things fair. And statistics show that diverse companies are 36% more profitable and outperform exclusive teams by 80%, meaning that DEI is actually beneficial to society and our economic system. And 69% of the United States believes in DEI being used. Black and Hispanic executives make up less than 10% of the workforce, although accounting for 30% of the entire workforce. So DEI promotes these positions for undervalued candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my argument.
So when it comes down to DEI, like I said, it's a good idea, but it's not a good reality. You know what I'm saying? You can see that when it comes down to equal opportunity versus equal outcomes, right? A lot of these universities are hiring less skilled individuals to be in these universities, right? And you can see that within this study that I posted in the side chat, right? In the University of California, when the University of California had affirmative action placed, there was more black people getting into University of California, right? And you'll think like, oh, that's good, you know what I'm saying? But once the University of California banned affirmative action, you can actually see that the graduation rate was higher for black Americans. So there were less black people getting into the university, but there was more quality black individuals that got into the university. Because what happened was that when University of California was just sitting here and admitting all of these black people just because of their race, a lot of these black people were more likely to be on academic probation or get kicked out of school. So I don't understand how it's a good thing that you're just admitting a bunch of black people into these universities, when you can see that the graduation rate is higher if you base it off of skills and meritocracy.
I'm not sure where you'd have to I mean, you posted one incident. I'd have to see more cases for it to be like a majority statement, but my argument to what you said would be, I feel like, okay, the first thing we learn in psychology is that correlation does not equal causation. So because of kids dropping out, I don't think that necessarily
they wasn't dropping out.
The
They was on academic probation and they got kicked out of school. They're not dropping out by choice.
My bad. My bad. It was a miscommunication. Kicked out of school, I don't think that is a direct support of DEI being the cause of that. I feel like we have to think about before kids get to college and the way that black students are underprepared for college in general, instead of thinking that they were just picked off the color of their skin
they were
placed into these positions.
Well, they were.
There's no
I just gave you evidence of
You gave me
The
evidence of kids being kicked out after
no,
affirmative action wasn't in
no,
place, but you didn't give me
no,
evidence of
you didn't listen.
kids being put in these positions
Yes, huh?
because of their color and
Yes, because there
being
was.
underqualified.
Yes, because I just said that there was more black kids being admitted into the University of California when affirmative action got put into place. So by
Okay, but you
definition,
didn't
there's
mention their
more
qualifications. What makes them underqualified to have made it into these colleges? That's what you're not explaining.
because they have lower test scores.
Where's the evidence of that? You, like I
I
said, you
just gave
mentioned
you
one
evidence.
college study. That's one college study. I looked into the chat, the of university graduation rates,
Yes.
but that's
So
college.
do you think that
We're talking
people
about
should
high
get
school going into college. Like you have to
right?
have a good transcript. You have to have a certain ACT score. Like I'm saying, what made these kids underqualified for these universities?
Well, I just gave you clear evidence of
You gave
them
me evidence of them being kicked out after
kick.
affirmative. And like I said, correlation doesn't equal
So why
causation.
did they
So just
get
because affirmative action ended and you've seen a spike in kids being kicked out, honestly, that should reaffirm the affirmative action, the fact that kids were getting kicked out after it wasn't in place anymore.
how would that reaffirm anything? That would how?
What do you mean? Because if you're saying that they were just picked because of color, then if they don't have to use this system anymore, then they abandon it. How does that
No,
not
they're
reaffirm what you're saying?
I'm saying that they get kicked out because they cannot meet when you go into like Harvard and these Ivy League schools, right? It's harder to actually keep your place. They only admit like 15,000 people that go to Harvard and stuff like that. So if you're getting picked by race, right, and not IQ and skills and working hard, you're more likely to get kicked out of these schools because you cannot keep up with the academics. And because not
But you're not
every
displaying the
school is
evidence of
not,
them not
every
having
school
the
isn't the
necessary
same.
skill.
Huh?
I said, but you're not displaying the evidence of them not having the necessary skills, is what
They
I'm
got
saying.
kicked out.
A
Why?
baseless claim right now.
They got kicked out.
Being okay, I had good test scores and a good transcript. I went to college and I got kicked out. Like
Yeah,
it
that's your
doesn't, like I said, correlation isn't
that's your
causation.
subjective experience. I'm talking about real life experience.
You're
I'm talking
talking
about
about one
real
university.
data.
You're talking about people getting kicked out, but you're not talking
Right.
about how they got in. That's
Why?
my point. We're
Why?
talking about DEI getting them in some of
Okay.
these places.
Tell
You
me
have to
this.
show me the evidence of
Okay.
what makes them underqualified to have been there in the first place.
So let me ask you this: why is the graduation rate higher when affirmative action is banned?
What do you mean?
When you go to college, you're not there just to go there. You're there to graduate. That is the goal. So
Yeah.
Black people getting admitted to a bunch of colleges isn't the goal. The goal is to have a high graduation rate. So what I'm arguing is this. So, but when it was affirmative action and even more Black people are getting admitted to these schools, right? They had a lower graduation rate than when they, after they banned affirmative action. So I'm asking you a specific question. Why is the graduation rate higher when affirmative action is banned?
I couldn't tell you. Like I said, it doesn't correlate directly. Because
listen,
you would have to
you don't
show
have an
me
answer.
that less colored people were accepted. Like that would go down a whole deeper thing. You'd have to show me that less colored people were accepted into the college afterwards, and that
Bro,
the graduation rate rose after
I don't know if
there
you.
being less
I
colored
don't
people
think
there.
it doesn't matter because if
It does.
why
That's
would the
whole
total
base of the
number,
claim.
if you do statistics, why would the total number matter if the graduation rate, the percentage of Black people actually graduating, is the true number that we actually should care about? Because let's say let's say we got like a school, right? And there's 100 Black people in this one school, and there's 100 Black people in this school, right? Okay. And on one end, only 5 people in one of the schools graduate. And then in the other school, right, there's 50 people graduating, right?
Okay.
That's a 50% graduation rate versus a 5%. Why does it matter about the total number?
The total number?
Yes, the total number. That's what we're talking about, statistics, right? The percentage matters. My argument is this: the percentage matters more than the total number. So, for example, there's more white people in America, right? But Asian people on average make more income. Why? Because we're doing statistical averages when we're doing data, right? It doesn't matter that there's a whole bunch of white people. The average Asian person is making more money because if we take the same sample size and then compare them, the percentage rate matters more.
The sample size matters. That's what you're ignoring.
We're taking the
okay. I see.
same
You're saying that the
sample size.
total number doesn't matter. It does matter.
Why does the total number
because
not
if one
matter?
black person goes to a university and graduates, then that would be 100%. But that's not necessarily good because, like you said, it's the graduation that matters. So if there's
Yes.
hella black people being admitted, but only one person graduates, that's not a good graduation rate.
Bro, let me break this down. When you do a statistical study, you use the same sample size. So I'm saying, like, you try to use the idea of more white people getting admitted into these schools, right? It doesn't really matter because let's say, like,
Because you said after affirmative action ended, the graduation rate went
Rate.
up. So you'd have to
Rate.
show me that less people of color were admitted after affirmative action, and that graduation rates rose because
I
if
literally
it's
put it in the chat.
because if the same amount, because this is why it matters, because if the same amount of colored people were being admitted as before affirmative action, but graduation rates rose, then what would be your argument?
Hold on, say that again.
I said, if there's the same amount of colored people being admitted after affirmative action ends and graduation rates rise, then what would be your argument then? It wouldn't be that colored people are underqualified.
That's not my
point.
argument. That's my argument. You're not listening to my argument. This is not.
Should be the argument because we're talking
No,
about
hold on. Let me.
DEI, so
Hold
you're
on.
talking
Wait.
about people
You're not even
getting
listening to my argument. Hold on. Let me land my plane. So I said, remember that there's less black people that were getting admitted into the University of California. Less black people, but the graduation rate was higher. Usually, if there's more people, it should be higher. But what happened was that there's less black people, but the graduation rate, the percentage of black people getting graduating were higher. So that matters more than a whole bunch of black people in the University of California, but they don't graduate. So the graduation rate matters more than the total number of people. Because why would let's say there's 100,000 black people that get admitted to the University of California and none of them graduate. But there's less black people. There's only 1,000 black people that actually get admitted. But the graduation rate is higher. That will matter more than a whole bunch of black people that don't graduate.
But you never said that less. All you said was.
Yes, I did.
This is what you specifically said. You said that after affirmative action ended, the graduation rates went up. You never said less black people were admitted. You can ask Egg. I don't know, but
yeah. So let me try to clarify here.
Clarify that.
I remember what Bless said, and I think there's a mix-up here. Maybe just in the order that Blessed explained it to you the first time. The order of events here that he's describing, at least about the University of California, is that in the University of California, before diversity, equity, and inclusion policies were introduced, there were a small number of black attendees who had a high graduation rate, or at least a normal graduation rate. After diversity, equity, and inclusion policies were introduced, later on, the number of black attendance of the University of California went up. The number of attendance went up, but the graduation rate went much farther down.
No,
Okay,
well,
so why doesn't the
no,
total
no, no,
number
no.
matter?
I think you still man the argument wrong.
No, that he just repeated what. Okay, I don't. That's the total number still matters because
Why does the total number
previously
matter?
explained, if you have five people originally that are going to this college, and all five of them graduate, that's 100%. If you add 30 more colored people, it's not unusual for the graduation rate to drop because there's more people. Like you have a higher sample size, like you said. So, and we're going off of averages,
No,
like you said as well.
that's not how you do
So why would it
statistics.
be 100% still? Like
Because
there's
you're not
not
doing
everybody's going to graduate.
because when you do a statistical study, they're not going off of the total number. They're taking the same exact percentages of each group. They're not taking the total because that will fuck everything up. So it wouldn't make sense for a statistical analysis to take a total number of each group. Obviously, the white people would always have a higher group because there's more people. So when you do a statistical study, right, you take the same sample size. That's why in the study you only take like 1,000 people, even if it's like 15,000 people. You only take 1,000 people of each group. That's how you
I'm
do
not
the statistics.
disagreeing with the statistics of it. I feel
So
like you're misunderstanding the statistics. What I'm
I'm not misunderstanding it.
like you just said, you keep the same sample size. So if there's 1,000 white people that go to the school and 5 black people, you would still treat that 1,000. If all 1,000 people graduated, you would treat that as 100%. If the 5 colored people graduated, you would treat that as 100%. So if you add, I wasn't even talking about white people. So like if you have 5 black people that graduate from college, that's 100%. If you add 25 people, now you have to add up 30 people. So if 5 of these people don't graduate, but the other 25 do, and you add all of those up and divide that, it's going to be lower than 100%. I don't see
Wait,
how
so
that's
are you
how that's
saying that when a nigga do a statistical analysis, right? Are you claiming that they will like
Because then,
those people?
because we're
Listen,
talking
hold on,
about
let me stay.
graduation
Hold on,
rates. So
wait. Let me land my
there's only
plane. Let me land
graduating
my
and not
plane. Let me
graduating.
land my plane. I'll let you speak. So are you sitting here saying that the person that does the statistics are not gonna do 5 white people versus 5 black people? That's how they will do the statistics. So it's fair. They won't sit here and compare
You're the
a
only person
1,000 white
mentioning white
person.
people. We're talking about the colored people going to the university. I'm not comparing the white people to the black people. I'm talking
I'm
about
doing a
the
statistic.
black people before DEI and the black people after DEI. I'm telling you that it's not unusual for the percentage to drop because there's more people. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, I'm saying, bro, listen, bro. I think I got to go over exactly what I said within the whole study because I don't know if anybody is understanding what I'm trying to say. So,
We hear you.
I'm gonna say this one. I'm gonna say it one more time. Maybe I spoke wrong, so I'm gonna just take it on the chin on that. So, when affirmative action was put in place, there were more black people getting put into the University of California.
No, that's
But
not what Egg said that you said. That's not what he said. You
but
said he said that's not the
that's why
what.
I
Well,
say
he's trying to clarify. Maybe
I'm
we
trying to clarify.
misunderstood him.
Yeah, I'm trying to clarify, bro. Maybe I said it wrong. So, when affirmative action got first put in place, right? There was more black people that got into the University of California, but the graduation rates were lower. So after they banned affirmative action, right? there were less black people getting into the University of California, but the graduation rates were higher. Do you understand now? The graduation rates
Same
matter.
thing, bro. That's the
The
same
graduation rates matter more than the actual black people getting admitted into the college.
Maybe that's where we need to. Maybe that's where we need to segue to here. Instead of the specifics of the University of California here, right? We'll we'll say that what Bless says here is true, right? For all intents and purpose. But what is the core of the issue here, right? It sounds to me like Razor says that he doesn't think that the number of graduates is the most important aspect, but instead the number of attendees. Now,
Right.
Blessed Mindset here thinks that the most relevant and important thing is the number of graduates,
Yes.
not the number of attendees. To
Yes.
sum this up,
Yes.
I would assume that Blessed would say something along the lines of, he thinks it is more important that people of color in America are more highly skilled and qualified than simply have access to the places which would make you skilled and qualified. I assume, Razor, you would say the opposite. You would say it is more important that people of color have access to places where they can acquire skills and competencies than it is that they acquire them.
It's a good steal, man.
Close, but not quite. I'm like I said in the beginning. Like I don't even know how we got here. I said he never explained. Like we're talking about them graduating college, and you're talking about DEI
Yes.
is the problem. So
Yes.
my whole thing from the beginning was, what evidence do you have stating that these people were underqualified to be at the university in the first place? That was my whole argument. So
Well,
yes, I
right.
do agree with what Egg said. It's about the access, but I never said that these people weren't skilled from the beginning. You did. So I want the evidence of them not being properly qualified. All you said were these people don't have high IQs and high test scores.
Right.
Like
So a person
that's
that
stupid.
doesn't the reason why I'm saying they're less qualified, because if somebody doesn't graduate, then on a bounds of probabilities, you're more likely not able, you're less qualified, bro. And that's true. On a bounds of probabilities. Not
Right.
always.
So I think
Is that
I
is
think
that because
here.
of DEI
Hold
or
on one second.
education?
Hold on one second, Razor. So I think here, this is what Mindset's sticking on here, right? You're saying, you said what you've said, but I think it might actually be somewhat irrelevant to what Mindset's saying. You guys might be talking past each other. Mindset is saying that the school, the attendance, the trying to complete the school, right, is a process by which that it is verifying how skilled you are, right? When you go to the college and you enroll and you begin your degree, you are, as you do it, being qualified, right? It is proving your qualification. So if you are no longer there, then it obviously, in his mind, because it is proving your qualification, you are obviously not qualified if you wash out of that place. Now, Razor, of course, you're asking how, you're saying that he's saying that they were unqualified beforehand, but I will say I don't think he is necessarily saying that. But what he is saying is that this instance, by going to school and washing out, it is proving their lack of qualification.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because
Okay.
if they went to the same state
qualified but
school.
Well, hold on,
underprepared.
Blessed. Hold on, Blessed. Let Razor.
My argument is that they're qualified but they're underprepared. Because like I said, you still haven't showed me no evidence of that. So if they are getting the right ACT score, their transcripts look good, then that just means that the education they received in high school didn't prepare them for college. And we're going to get into that in the
Okay.
systemic racism
Okay.
argument. But
So let me ask you this
I wouldn't
question.
say they're not qualified, they're underprepared.
So what is
And that's
the
been my
difference?
argument
What's
all
the
time.
difference between underprepared and not qualified?
Because on paper I can meet the qualifications. Like I can be 16 and be able legally to drive. I'm qualified to drive. I didn't went to driving school, but I could still be underprepared for the road. Does that make any sense?
So do you think that? So listen, when it comes down to the Ivy League school, there's no such thing as being like underprepared, bro. Now that's just the University of California, what I just gave you. But when we talking about
Right.
Ivy League
One
school,
instance.
when we talking about Ivy League school, it happens in Harvard and stuff like that too. I just don't got the data on hand. All I needed was this data to prove it happens. So when it comes down to like Ivy League school, there's no such thing as being underprepared, bro. It's either
Why
you're
isn't
the
there?
dog. It's either you're a dog or not, bro. You're going up against cats that got IQs of 150, test scores over 1500. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these other qualifications because there's such thing as a
But
hierarchy.
that would be like you saying that Harvard has a 100% graduation rate, which would
They
be
don't.
uh invalid. So what is your
My
point? These
point. My
people
point is
can be
this: is that
qualified
most
but not
people cannot
prepared
graduate.
and not
Most
graduate.
most most people can't graduate Harvard. Like if I went to Harvard and it's
So what? What?
because hold on,
Um,
let me lay my plan. So if I went to Harvard, right, I will be more likely to have to drop out or get on academic probation. Not because I'm underprepared, because there's too much homework. The academics is
but you
too.
met the qualifications to make it, didn't you?
What do you mean met the qualifications to make? What do you mean? I don't understand. What do you mean?
Why are we acting like you don't have to be qualified to get into college? Like I don't understand
I'm
this
trying to tell you that
this stance.
there are
Like
times
bro,
that,
like
bro,
they go
because
like colleges literally they go off your entire high school transcript, your ACT scores, your behavior in high school. Like you have to qualify for college, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you're prepared for college. And not even like you
they
just said, like not everybody graduates Harvard. And if you're saying that these people are 1,500 test scores and all this, like then why didn't they graduate? And like they would have a 100% if everybody was just qualified as you're putting the definition to go there, then they would all graduate. It would be 100% if that was the
Gentlemen,
case. But it's not.
gentlemen, if I may just here, we are about 36 minutes into this topic. I know we want to make time for at least one other topic.
yeah
Gentlemen, I propose that we take a quick break here.
yeah
I know that Razor, you just said something that Blessed you might want to respond to, but I actually think it might be in your best interest and both of your best interests if we take a break here.
right.
We can think about what it is we want to say. I actually think both of you have both made good arguments so far, sound arguments. And we can either, sort of leave it here at this position you're at when we come back. But I think we should take a little break here, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, 10 if you want, and then we'll come back and we can decide if you guys want to continue on this topic. I think that's perfectly fine. You definitely could, and potentially blend it over into our other topic, racism and cultural explanations. Or we can move more towards moral realism, but decide that when we come back. What do you gentlemen think?
Yeah, I think we should just end it off
We can do
that.
a quick 6:47. I mean, well, it's about to turn some 6:48. Come back.
Yeah, I'm with that, bro. Like, I'm with
Yep,
that.
perfect. Let's do 5. Yeah, we'll break here. Have a hiatus. Everybody can get some water, drink, bathroom, um, and think about what it is we wanna say and what we've already said.
Okay, bet sounds good.
Sure.
All right, I'll see you guys in just 5 minutes.
the riches that go. We taking a 5-minute break, guys. Shout out to Maria Rose. Shout out my boy Meech too, man. You know what I'm saying? She said Egg tired of y'all. Yeah, he is tired of us, man. He's sick of us. Maria Rose, she said, you have to take other things in consideration, like they might not be prepared for the environment, how to manage their school life, balance, and all of that. Heck yeah, that's a good argument. That's a strong argument. She said, where's the test scores? The test scores, I mean, you can see the test scores. You can see that they, hey! But yeah, you can see the test scores. Well, my argument, I've seen test scores that African Americans tend to kind of like score lower. Not because I'm not saying that, you know, because African Americans are stupid or anything. It's just, I think it's just based off of culture. Shout out my boy Josh, man. My boy Josh, man. Thanks for tuning in, brother, man. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're still balling out here, brother. I hope you're still balling. We taking a quick break. Then we're gonna get on to the next topic. Boy, Razor sharp. You're a sharp debater. Can't knock you. Bag the Richard the context. The minister, I was in days of 2 weeks. I might want to do more realism next. I might want to get into more realism next, man. For sure, all love. You know I'm still balling. Heck yeah, man. I see y'all boys, man. It was like a year ago y'all boys was taking dubs like you and Vinny. Y'all was on the team or something at the rec. I think it was at the rec or something, bro. That's fire, bro. Keep up, man, balling on that team, man. Y'all was taking dubs. And then with Unk. What is Unk's name? That's my boy. Unk with the dreads, Josh. I forgot his names. Let me think. My boy. Yeah, y'all be hooping, man. Y'all be hooping. Quick 5-minute break, man. Quick 5-minute break. We about to get back to it, guys. Stick around, stick around. We're going on to the next prompt. We're going to be going on to the next prompt, guys. The next debate prompt coming up.
We ready?
I don't know where Egg at. We just got to wait for Egg, then we'll get back to it. You down with doing like more realism?
We can. I ain't tripping.
Okay. All right, bet. That boy Josh on here. He said, yeah, we got a team up in Youngstown. Hey, yeah, Marlo. Yeah, I was talking about Marlo, Unk, man. I see him at the bowling alley, man. That's my boy. Yeah, and Razor, Josh said good arguments on both sides. He's showing mad love. Oh, he said, but I'm here listening to this debate. I don't know nothing y'all talking about, but I'm learning. Nah, I feel you, bro. That's what it's about, man. I'm learning from him. He learning from me, bro. Like, we don't know everything too, bro. That's why, that's why I'm doing the pod, bro, so we can all learn from each other, you know what I'm saying? So, me and Eli, we definitely already had like debates before, you know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot from him, and I hope he learns a lot from me as well. But yeah, we all learning, brother. This your people's Razor Mario Rose Razor. Shout out Mario Rose,
Yes, I
man.
do.
This your people Mario Rose.
What you talking about?
Her name is Mario Rose. Do you know somebody named Mario Rose?
No.
No. Hey, shout out to Mario Rose, man, for joining up. I thought that was your people's. Hey, guess she's trying to stick around for the pod, man. Shout out to Mario. Shout out to Josh. Shout out my boy Meech. Meech Reacts was in the building. Shout out to Meech.
I'm back, by the way.
Bad, bad. Hey, he said he down doing more realism.
Yeah, you guys want to move on from this to more realism. I mean, I feel like you did both touch on the cultural explanation, systemic racism a little bit there.
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, let's go ahead and just move on to the more realism, and then if we have more time, we'll just get into the next one.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I think that was a good first topic. I think you both made a good argument about how you feel and what you think about these issues. Excellent. So then we'll move on to more realism. I don't know if either of you. Again, I'm pretty sure you just had the one sort of intro. You both touched on kind of everything. I don't know if you guys want to decide on who goes first here into the next segment here.
Let's just go ahead and I just got a let's just start off with a question, bro. I got a question for him.
What's the deal?
Does morality depend on God?
What do you mean? Elaborate a little bit.
So I know you believe in God, but you think you can socially construct your morals. And my argument is that you cannot socially construct your morals if God creates morals. So how are you a more realist?
Relativism?
More
My
yeah,
argument.
more relativist. My bad, yeah.
I heard you say that earlier, but I mean, I could tell you. Well, I'll tell you my personal opinion type shit. Um, you believe in God as well, right?
Yeah, we both believe in God.
For sure. So God has ordered the killing of people, but you wouldn't say God is morally wrong for that, would you? I feel like morals are subjective based on the situation.
But how are they subjective to humans? They could be subjective to
Because
God, but not humans.
because just like how we deem murder bad, or no, actually I'll use a better example. Just how we deem the death penalty bad, most countries good, we use the death penalty here. Most countries in the world don't use the death penalty. It's morally wrong in most countries in the world. But would you say that we're morally wrong for using the death penalty here, and that they're morally right for not using it?
Well, you're going off of a cultural standard. If you believe in God,
Because that's what morals. That's what I'm saying. That's
how is it
my point. My argument.
how is it so you're a cultural relativist. So is it based off of
That's what my
culture?
argument is.
No, but there's difference. So are you a cultural relativist or are you a subjectivist? Is it based off of your belief system or the culture?
That's where you lost me. I
That's
ain't
the
gonna lie
two.
to you.
So there's two different type of
Moral
ways.
relativism
Hold on.
literally means that morals change across cultures and time. That's my argument.
Yeah, but do they
You're
depend
saying
on you or the
subjective,
collective?
but they're basically the same, huh?
Or are they are they based off of your personal opinions of it or the collective?
The collective. That's why I used the example of most of the world deems the death penalty morally wrong, but we use the death penalty. Would we be morally wrong for using it? It's a cultural thing that it's not necessarily bad here, but other places they might say it is wrong
Right. So
morally.
am I wrong if I go up and just shoot a little girl, an innocent little girl?
I'd say so.
But how are you gonna say you can't? You can't sit here and have an opinion
Is a
on.
soldier
Hold
wrong
on,
for going
wait,
to
hold on.
another
Let
country
me
and
land my
killing an
plan.
innocent child?
Let me land my plan. So you can't sit here and criticize somebody's position when you're a cultural relativist because everything is subjective and based off of your opinions.
It's not on my. I'm talking about the culture. You're putting it
Right.
specifically on me, bro.
Right. So in
I'm saying over time, just like okay, here's a different example. Gay homosexuality and gay marriages morally wrong throughout most of history. Even to this day, I believe 38 countries still deem it immoral, but most countries have adapted. At one point, it was morally wrong and heinous, but now it's not. So I don't see how you're not understanding my
you're
argument.
because if you're
It
saying
changes
it's
over
based
time. It
because
might
if
have
it's
been morally
based
right once.
because if it's based off of the collective, if the collective says that this moral is right, then that means that it can go against God's morals. So if God says thou shalt not kill, but you're sitting here saying that, oh, the collective says it's okay to kill, then therefore it means it's okay to kill. So that's why I say you're in contradiction.
Okay, but okay, let's go. Since we're taking the God route, I guess I'll go that that route for you to understand what I'm saying. Okay, Cain is the first recorded person religiously or biblically, however you would like to put it, to murder somebody. God didn't kill Cain because he murdered his brother. He taught him how to bury his brother. People commit a murder here, and we as people kill them for taking a life. So would that not be immoral if God didn't even kill somebody? Like that's my point
What do
here.
you mean God didn't kill Cain? Why would he kill Cain? Like what you
Because
well,
you
you're
just
not
said that
taking the whole
murder is immoral, thou shalt not kill. We kill people because they committed murder. So why
what?
why as people can we decide to kill somebody if God did it?
Because
That's my
you're
point.
bro,
If we're relating it to
you're
God.
actually just mixing up a prescriptive claim with a descriptive claim. Like you're sitting here saying that we can do X thing, therefore we should do X thing. I'm not sitting here saying that. I'm sitting here saying that if it says if God makes a command, I'm going off a divine command theory. If God says thou shalt not steal, but you're sitting here saying if it's based off of the collective, it's okay to steal. I'm saying we should go off of what God says. And God is independent of the mind. That's why it's
But
objective.
but
You're
I feel
saying,
like
let me land my
morals to
plane,
this
brother. Let
okay,
me
I'll
land
let
my
you continue.
plane.
My bad. Do your thing.
Yeah. So if God commands something and it's in his nature, then it's an objective fact because it's independent of our minds. We're dependent on God. But you're sitting here saying that the collective can come together and say, this thing is right, therefore it's right. So in North Korea, for example, right, women have no rights. People just have no rights. So you're saying that since the collective believes that, therefore it's right. How does that make sense?
What do you mean? I just you you skipped over my first example of that. Like you didn't say nothing when I said we send soldiers into war and they kill innocent children, but they come back and get rewarded for war. Like is that immoral? Because they wouldn't, shouldn't they get the death penalty as well if that's the case?
Why do
They
you keep
committed
bringing up the
murder.
death penalty, bro?
Because the more we're talking about morals, I'm talking about things in society that are deemed immoral or not. You're speaking about God, but then once I bring up an example of God commanding murder and not retaliating with death against murder, but we do as a society, how does that not
Because God is
equate
the
up into society deeming things? And I'm telling you that things were wrong before, but they're socially accepted now. How does that not support the claim that society deems things as immoral or not?
yeah, you're mixing, like I said before, you're mixing a descriptive claim with a prescriptive claim. Just because cultures can do certain things that are bad doesn't mean that they create it and actually say these are good or bad, right? You know what I'm saying? If it goes against God's will, then it's bad, right? So let me give you the definition that I gave in my opening statement. Objective means independent of the mind, and subjective means dependent of the mind, right? So all of your examples are dependent of human minds. So those are subjective claims, which there's no authority. But since God is outside of us and independent of the human mind, he has the highest authority. So how can you socially construct your morals if you believe in God, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like like Adolf Hitler, right? How are you gonna condemn what he done to the Jews if everything is subjective and based off the collective?
The same way that you would say a sacrifice of a human being is immoral, but ancient people in ancient times sacrifice people for their god. Like, I
Are
don't
they wrong?
understand. That's up to back then they weren't wrong. You would say
What do
they
you
are
mean
now.
what does the time frame matter?
Because it changes over time and they're created by us. That's what my argument has been this entire time.
Do
Like,
you
that's
believe in God, bro?
what does that have to do with what my argument? That's
Because
you're
because
going, you keep going to God instead of the
right,
main argument
because
about
you believe
morals
in God
in
and God
society.
creates morals. You don't create morals. By your own viewpoint, you believe that God creates morals, but you're saying that you create morals. That's why it's a contradiction.
How could it possibly be a contradiction if God created everything? Like, that's my point here. Like, I just don't understand. Like, like, we're part of the society, we're a part of a bigger thing, and if we deem something okay, then it was okay. Like, at that time in life, and I already named multiple examples in history of things changing and things being morally correct at one point in time at one point in time and morally incorrect at another point in time. But you're saying that basically at that, you're okay. I get what you're saying. I hear what you're I hear what you're basically saying, like, okay, if stealing is against the law,
Yeah.
but
Can't.
God says you shouldn't steal,
Mm-hmm.
then if you steal, you're immorally wrong. I mean, you're immoral type shit. You're not morally
Right.
correct by stealing.
Right.
And my argument is that if the society doesn't view it as a crime, then it will be accepted and nobody will think of it as nothing. That's
Right.
my argument.
But is it still objectively wrong?
I think it's all subjective. I don't think
How
that's
how
what
is
I've been
it
trying to say about that.
subjective when God creates your morals?
Because, like I said, even in God's command, in God's situations, he commanded different things for different times. Like, he might have said, oh, these soldiers going into this village and wiping out all these people is wrong. But then he could command this person to go and wipe out these people. But they're both the same instance, but one was morally correct in God's eyes as to the other. That's my point. It's all subjective.
But it's not subjective to the human mind. It's subjective to God's will. That's what you're not understanding. So if you go back to my main definition,
And
I
we're
don't know
a
if you.
product of that.
So what? Like are you?
So that would make it all subjective.
No,
That's what I'm
no, it
saying.
doesn't, because God doesn't depend on you. You depend on God. So like I don't know if you. What is your definition of subjective?
I feel like, okay, no, actually, I think this is the question here type shit, actually. Okay, I'm trying to think of the perfect way to frame it. Do you believe that if there was never a law about stealing, you would think that stealing was naturally bad? That's what you're saying.
Naturally bad. Why would I?
Yes,
I don't
because
understand
you're
your
saying
question.
that it's objective. You're saying that it doesn't have nothing to do with society. So if you never knew that stealing was a bad thing, you would just naturally know, oh, that's immoral for me to steal. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because God's law is placed on our hearts.
That would be a
So
spiritual debate.
yeah, we can debate it. I mean, do you
We
believe
don't
that God?
know. I'm not
So
trying to get. I'm trying to stick with the current topic at hand.
well, this has everything
And
to do with the topic, because you asked the question: would we naturally know that stealing is wrong? And I'm saying yes.
because look, I'm telling you, like, this is like, it's about culture. It's about time. Like, I don't like, that would be like saying, if you're going the religious route, in the Bible, God said that everybody should be fruitful and multiply. If they're the only people, then that would be incest. Is incest okay?
Well, no, you're taking it out of context.
No. No,
Yeah,
I'm not.
you're
No, I'm
completely
not.
taking it out of
No, I'm
context.
not. No, I'm
Yeah,
not. No,
because you're
I'm
supposed to
not.
be
That's the truth.
fruitful
If
with your
Adam and Eve
wife.
were the only two people and they had children, and their children are supposed to continue procreating, that would be their brothers and sisters, which would be incest. Is incest
Why?
okay?
When did
Because
actually Christian
we're talking about
theology? Hold on,
moral.
wait. When did Christian theology ever turn to like uh prescriptions for incest? Ever in church history? Give me one time.
What do you mean? That's literally God's statement to Adam and
Yeah,
Eve.
out of
Is be fruit.
context.
So
Out of
where are the
context.
other people that He created for
Out
there
of
to have
context.
been there? Okay, see, you don't want to answer that.
Go ahead and
It's
answer.
more. Is it immoral or not?
To
If that
what?
was
Do
okay
incest?
and that was God's command, as you said, is that okay?
God
Even though
didn't.
the law says that that's incorrect in society.
God didn't promote incest, bro. It just that's a human action.
What do you mean?
Humans do
Humans
incest.
created
It was
the
never a
term
law. It
incest,
was never a law.
but
It
that's
was
what it
never
was.
a law
I'm not
that
trying to
God
get spirit,
prescribed incest, bro. This is wild that you're actually saying this.
bro. Because you're thinking of it from the human mind. Like I said, like
Why
if
would why would
you go into the text, you will see that this is literally in the time where they're supposed to be perfect.
bro?
Before they ate the apple, they didn't realize they were naked. They didn't realize that all their children having children with each other was sinful type shit. It is in the Bible. I'm not tripping here. It is what it is. Like, Adam
Yeah.
and Eve were supposed to have kids. Their kids were supposed to reproduce with their brothers and sisters and
J-
continue populating the earth,
This is
which
when
would be incest by today's standards. Is that immoral or is it
no
moral? I
listen,
just want a yes or no for that, for the
bro, you're
question.
taking it out of context. I'm not,
No,
and that's
I'm
you're
not.
giving a false.
I'm not.
You're doing a
Is
logical
that not what the
fallacy. You're
definition of
doing a
incest
logical
is?
fallacy. You're giving an
Is
either
that not what the
or logical
definition is?
fallacy, bro.
Is that
Like
not
it's
what the
not.
definition is?
No, you're giving an either or logical
Okay.
fallacy. It's a false dichotomy, bro. You can't just be like, oh yeah, this or this, and it's like, no, there's more context to it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't prescribe. God didn't
Right. There
prescribe
is, and I
incest.
tried to
Hold
produce
on,
it
bro. Let
for
me let
you.
my Egg, do you want to like steel bed the argument or something?
Here,
Where are
guys.
we going?
Let me try to bring us back. Let me try to bring us
Yeah,
back.
bring us back.
I don't think talking about what Scripture says will be super helpful here. I think it definitely has something to do with it. Definitely has a lot to do with all this in a way, but the arguments are external right, from what the words of the Bible are itself, right? So, and in fact, Razor pointed to this idea, right, which I, kind of agree with when he says, when he's pointing at, well, I'm also looking at the things outside of the Bible, right, not just the Bible. He provided some examples outside the Bible, to see like, well, all right, how should I inform my moral reality, right? And he sees that it's changing all the time as per the opinions of other people. Now, I think where we're mixed up here, I do think we're mixed up. I think Razor was right that question that you asked him earlier really is the question to ask, and needs to be digged down into more. Which is, what does Razor think relativism means in this regard? But I also think, Blessed, I think you owe it to Razor to tell him what you think very specifically you mean by moral realism, right? What exactly you mean, right? And how you feel about that. I know he says things that you might disagree with, but it might be more important for you to explain to him what it is you believe in more depth than just to tell him the reasons why you disagree with him, right? Okay. And vice versa, by the way.
That makes
to
sense.
Both of you.
That makes sense. Okay, so what I mean is, some actions are universally wrong. Humans' rights depend on objective morality. Morality is discovered. It's not invented. And that's my main one. Morality is discovered, not invented. So what is your definition of moral relativism?
I would say that my definition is that morality is not objective, but it's relative towards cultural and situational dependency.
So let me ask you this. So let's say a culture, right, creates a society, and it says that society places in law that it's okay to murder little girls, 9-year-old little girls, right? Is that objectively true? Or is that right or wrong?
We've actually had this conversation. Actually, I'll do you one better. Like, we spoke about with Steven the one day. If there's a tribe of cannibals on a deserted island who never heard about the Christian God or anything like that, and they eat people to survive, they don't know our laws, our shit. That's just literally what they grow up into, eating people, and cannibalism is just their everyday thing. Are they morally wrong over there? To us, maybe, but not in their culture. It's what they have going on, which is why I couldn't say that it's immoral or not. It's subjective to what their culture stands for.
Bro, you're ducking the question, bro. You just ducked my question completely.
Because you tried to frame it like they created this culture tomorrow.
Yes, because you're a cultural relativist. They can do this. And through your framework, people can create their own morals and create their own society. That's why we stayed in that context. Not an unconscious dude that's just got to sit there and eat.
Do I believe that it's possible for majority of society to eventually deem that okay? I think it's plausible.
Right. So is that right or wrong? Is that right or wrong?
That would be subjective, like I said.
Why would it be subjective, bro?
So okay, another clarifier here, right? So Razor, do you think that there is definitely no like moral lawgiver, either from God or by way of nature's laws? And if you don't believe that, can you just tell me why? I know you've already said the examples you see, but just as you mentioned before, just real quick, just as you mentioned before that correlation does not equal causation, in this same way, examples of humans doing different things are not necessarily examples of how the case is always, unless you think that there is some common line, some argument.
Okay. This is how I'll frame my answer for you. I believe, because you guys are saying that it's innately wrong, but I believe that. Well, I'm not gonna say you
I'm
guys.
not
My
I'm not
bad.
saying
You're
innately.
the you're the meat.
I'm
You're
saying
yes,
God
you are,
says it's
because you're
wrong.
saying it's objective. It's objective. It's
It's not
naturally
innate.
just
That
immoral. But
innate means
what do you?
inside. I'm saying objective means independent of humans. It's different.
What? Okay, okay.
Right? Because you're
So,
getting
but
the
what are you?
definition of
But where are the
objective
people?
wrong.
But where are the people getting their sense of morality from inside of them? So, what are we talking about?
What do you mean? Is God inside of you, or can he be outside of
Yes.
you?
Like, what are we?
He's he's
That's what I'm
he's
saying. This is
not
a spirit.
he's
That
not
would be a
only
spiritual
he's
conversation,
not
bro.
only inside, he's outside too.
I'm just trying to
That
answer.
makes him
I'm just trying to
objective.
answer Egg's question, my
Go
gosh.
ahead.
If you'd allow.
You still, man?
Okay. Okay. Like I said, you okay? Whatever. You believe it's objective by God. Okay. Now, my stance here is that people experience life before they understand right from wrong. So if you naturally grow up into a society, I think that subjective experiences might frame your mind to different shit. Some people might see this and be like, oh, like, I don't think we should be doing this. Like, everybody's not the same. Like, some people will be like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. But if it's culturally accepted, that will be the norm. And I don't think that's a crazy statement to
Yeah,
say. Like,
that like
like,
I
like I
said.
just said with the, okay, like, because even Egg said me mentioning instances of people doing bad. Okay, so that's my, like, I don't have to mention people doing bad things. If we take the previous example I said about homophobia type shit, that was literally seen as immoral throughout most of the world type shit. Now it's getting more culturally accepted. Is that is it still immoral now? Like, it's something that people's opinions change about. They used to fry people in electric chairs. They thought that was morally right. Then they said, no, this is immoral. It's cruel and unusual punishment. Now we use lethal injection. Maybe 10, 20 years now down the line from now, we might say, damn, killing people at all is unusual. Like, and it might change again. That's why I've been using these examples, because it I don't think it's just who we are naturally. It's just subjective, and we do have God. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like there's shit that you know between you and God that is right and wrong, which is why shit is the way it is. But that's now. Me and you can speak on that because that's our subjective experience now, which is what
Right.
I've also
So
been saying. Like a
okay,
100 years ago,
okay,
they might have been on a whole different time and that
okay,
we wouldn't accept today. But you wouldn't say
okay. Land
those
your plane, brother. Land
ancient
your plane.
figures are immoral. That's my point.
Okay. So as we can see here, I feel like my boy Razor, he has a strong argument, but he doesn't have any grounding for his argument. And he has no foundation. He all he's saying is that in this society, descriptively, it's okay to do these things, and in the next society, it's okay to do things in this society, right? These are descriptive claims. These are not prescriptive, right? These are not alt claims. I'm offering an alt claim to follow God. God gives morality. You cannot go against God's morality or you'll be in contradiction. If God says you shouldn't murder people, then you shouldn't murder people. God is a transcendental being that's outside of us. We discover God, right? It's not, God isn't inside of us, right? He's everywhere at once, right? But at the same time, he's outside of us and inside of us because he's omnipresent. You know what I'm saying? And that's as true as possible. So the reason why I say my boy Razor has no foundation is simply because if one culture can do something that the other culture can do as well, then that's just contradictions in morals, like, you know. And what actually creates good societies that way, bro? If one society, like the Germans, right, they go through and put a whole bunch of, you know, Jews in concentration camps, my boy Razor has no arguments towards that. All he's going to say is that it makes him feel bad. But then that will come down to force doctrine. Andrew Wilson's famous argument, right? Might makes right. So that's what the Nazis thought. They read Friedrich Nietzsche, and Nietzsche was here just trying to create, saying, oh yeah, we could create our morals and stuff like that. But then when the Nazis took it, right? Then they put a bunch of Jews in concentration camps and they just wanted to take over the world. But what makes them wrong, right? My boy Razor has no arguments for why it's wrong.
I'll show you the grounding, and I'll show you why it's subjective, because your God isn't everybody's God, and that's what I've been trying to harp on here for a sec. You might think something is moral with you and who you consider the higher power. Somebody else with a different culture, a different religion, like I said earlier, they might believe sacrificing people to their God is okay. So like it already, in a God standpoint, would be subjective. Like we don't all celebrate. I mean, we all don't worship the same God. So how could it naturally be objective
that's
already?
descriptive, but it's not prescriptive. Should we all worship the same God?
Okay, can you explain that? You didn't say it like 10 times.
Because descriptive arguments is basically you're just describing something that is. This is because it is. It has no ought claim. It has no we should do this at all. It's just is, right? If
but
I
people
just
believe in different gods.
Hold on, wait. Let me explain. Let me explain this. Let me land my plane. So if I just sit here and say that this bottle has water in it, that's just a descriptive claim. I'm not saying we should drink the water. I'm not saying that we should not drink the water. It's just a descriptive claim. But when I'm talking about prescriptions, I'm saying what we ought to do, what we should do. So I'm advocating that we should worship one God, right? Because if not, then all of the gods will be all competing. And we won't be under the same moral law. And that's where your grounding is falling short, because you're not worshiping one God. You're respecting that there's other gods, right? But there has to be one true powerful God that sets.
But that's your belief.
Let me land my plane. So we need one God to worship. If not, then all the cultures will be at war. And that's what's happening right now. Everything's at war. Everything's getting, you know what I'm saying? Now people think we can socially construct our morals. Now, who decides morals? The grapists? The murderers? Or the people who follow Jesus Christ? Then it just turns to force doctrine. Whoever has the most might makes right. And I'm saying that, no, what it is we all look at a God and we submit to one God that's above us, outside of us, and not subjective, objective.
Okay, and I don't know, what did you say about the water? Okay, that the way it's subjective is like, I could say I like water. You could say I like water too. But yeah. I could be talking about tap water. You could be talking about spring water. I could be talking about distilled water, but we're both talking about water.
But it's a descriptive fact. I'm saying,
what do you mean?
When I use the word descriptive, right, I'm just saying what is.
The description.
Yeah, but he offers prescriptions.
Who's the correct God, and right. Nobody truly knows at the end of the day. Like I said, it's your belief and it's my belief. I believe my God is the true God. Somebody else believes that their four gods are their true gods. Somebody believes that Allah is their true God. Like it's subjective already. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
How is
I don't see how that doesn't have any grounding at all.
It has a
because
lot of
people can say
because...
God, but they're not talking about the same thing. So the laws under different people's gods are different.
Well, my question to you is, I can actually justify claims for God. Where do you get your epistemology from?
What do you mean?
Where do you get your epistemology from?
I've never heard that word a day in my life.
The epistemology is the philosophical definition of the study of knowledge. So justified true belief, That means that you have to justify your belief. You can't just be like, oh yeah, this is my God and we're all gonna believe you. No, you have to offer philosophical justifications for why we should follow your God.
Because of everybody's lived experiences. I never say anybody's God isn't the true God. I say people should believe in what is closest to their personal beliefs and feelings. Like I personally, my beliefs and my feelings align closely to my study of the knowledge of my God. Other people, they might have grown up and fucking learned about multiple gods or another god, and under their religion shit is okay, but under my religion it's not okay. And that's what I'm saying, it's already subjective. You can say God, what you said, descriptive, prescription, whatever. Like the God would be the descriptive nature, like we're saying God, but at the end of the day, everybody's God isn't the same God. Everybody has
Right.
different beliefs. So I don't see how there's no ground in that.
There's no grounding, because how can you ground something that's all personal? If this guy's morality is just as valid as your morality, you cannot criticize or have any arguments towards his morality. That's
Right.
why.
That you just proved my claim right
No,
there.
I'm saying no. Actually,
can't.
I'm actually disproving your claim.
I can't
I'm
deny their morality.
disproving
I
your
can't.
claim. I'm disproving your claim. Why? Because
You're not. You
yes.
just said,
Hold
how
on.
could
Let
I
me
say
land my
anything
plane. Let me
about
land
their
my plane.
morality?
Let me land my
I
plane.
heard a middle ground. I got excited.
That's not a
Like,
not a middle
like, what?
ground. That's what you guys think. And it's actually, I believe it's incorrect. Why? Because how can you sit here and lock up a rapist, or a grapist, my bad, a grapist, if his morality is justified as much as yours? How can you put someone in jail for that?
That was my claim in the beginning about the
Bro,
death penalty and shit.
Yeah, you're
I
actually
already
proving my
spoke- I already
point.
spoke
You're
about it.
proving my point that it would actually come down to might. So let's say the grapist, for example, he had the most might, and he actually locked people up for not graping people. Then it will come down to that society through your viewpoint. What I'm saying is it's objectively wrong for people to grape people. But through your morality, you have no justification of why it's wrong.
That's just like saying the Catholic preachers and the Pope that are doing heinous things
They're
and
wrong.
heinous acts with children. They don't have their own justifications for what they do. And they always
Are
have
you
justifications
justifying
for what they
my,
do.
they're wrong
I'm not.
too. They're wrong.
I'm literally comparing it to what you just said.
No, I'm saying
I'm saying that they're going to because we're talking. You keep putting it to God. So if these
Yes.
are the people that are leading whole religions,
Yes.
but they're justifying this underneath their God, would you still say they're a more? That's what I'm saying. You're not. You're
that's
being
not a God.
hypocritical. You said I'm
That's a
contradicting myself. You're being once I introduce examples and claims with the God and the shit that you're talking about, you never want to answer because it sounds crazy.
No,
but
because
if you're gonna state moral realism, it has to be true all the time, and that's the difference. Moral relativism shit changes. You've been saying, oh, it's okay in this instance, it's not okay. That's what I've been saying. like if you're truly saying that shit is objective, then that means that it's right or it's wrong all the time.
Yes, based off of God, and through your viewpoint, it's if you believe in God, you cannot socially construct it.
God? I don't know. I would like to. I believe my God is the true God, but at the end of the day, as a human, that all I have are texts and the shit that I go through. I don't know. We just live in a world.
Well, you can use logic.
Knows.
You use logic, epistemology. You use the highest form of reason. You use logic.
So you're gonna sit here and say that that people that don't, because who is your God? That I feel like that would be the main thing of this here, because like you're saying that your God is the correct God, which would make everybody else's gods wrong.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. I think
I don't even think we should be getting into spiritual shit, but like we keep going back to this.
It goes back to it.
Hold on, guys.
It goes back to metaphysics.
Look, all right. I think we're actually reaching the end of this topic because there's a lot more that needs to be laid out. To have the kind of conversation. Well, Yeah, to have the kind of conversation that Blessed is coming from, Razor needs to know a lot more, and he's not familiar with epistemology. I think it would be unfair, right, to continue down the route of your argument, Blessed, because it requires that he knows things he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I also think as well that Razor, even after understanding all those things, may still feel differently, and he may even have his own reasons within, he may even have his own epistemological reasons and philosophical reasons to have a different opinion. So I'm also not saying that Razor just doesn't know enough to understand, right? Like he could still disagree. But I think we're actually at the end here. You two would have to both, basically Razor would have to come to a lot more understanding about these other prerequisite things you're talking about. So I think we're kind of at the natural end of this particular topic here. I don't think we can go any further right now. It'll just be the two of you disagreeing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm fine.
I know that
with it.
we're an hour and a half in. I don't know if we want to try to hit the last. I mean, again, we kind of hit it a little bit already, but
Yeah, let's do the last one, man. Can I get a 5-minute bathroom break and then we'll get back to it?
Is that all right with you, Razor?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Do you want to take a 5-minute break, Razor, and then come back and hit the last topic, or do you feel like we've sufficiently talked about everything?
Yeah, 7:35. We can come back, knock out this last one real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Bet.
All right.
Bet.
Excellent. Yeah, let's do that. I want to thank the audience as well for bearing with us with the intermissions.
Yep, and I'm gonna read chats when I come back. They got a lot of chats.
Audience, I can't see you, and I can't hear any of your responses by way of the chat or anything like that. But I want you all to know that I appreciate your patience here with us today, and I hope you're all enjoying this content.
All right. We got a few chats I'm gonna read out. Few chats. Let me think. Dang, we got a lot of chats. I don't even know where we. Cordell Edward. Shout out my boy Cordell Edward. He said, "Let me land my plane." Laughing emojis. I do say that, bro, when people cut me off. My boy Vinny. Shout out my boy Vinny. Shout out my boy Vinny. He's going back to the Old Testament. Stoned them to death. And then he put laughing emojis. Good one, brother. My boy Joe, mentor. I think we have to get back to, is the sacrifice right or wrong? If we did it today, and should we do it today? It's a good question, Joe. I love that. Mario Rose. So how do you know what God allows based on your situation? Oh, okay. That's a good question. Wait, hold on. I think somebody replied to this? Oh, my boy Vinny said, I got a couple people that can go. Oh, I should be answering. Egg, I should be answering these questions. Should I answer their questions or just keep reading them? What you think?
Give them a readout and a little answer, but I, I mean, obviously, if they're related to like the next topic we're going into, or if they're going to take too long of a, answer, I wouldn't,
Right.
We don't want to, I don't want to hold up too long here. Again, we, our 5 minutes are coming to an end here in just 2 and some minutes.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna just try to get through these then for real. We got Gabe. Shout out my boy Gabe. You should look into Plato's philosophical arguments with the euthyphro pertaining to piety. Is the pious loved by the gods because it is pious, or is it pious because it is loved by the gods. I love Euthyphro's dilemma, and it really messes with my head every time. But I believe that God commands it. God creates morality. So I will go with if I don't like mess up like what I'm trying to say. Is it pious because it is loved by the gods? Is it pious? That's a good question, bro. I'm kind of tripping myself up, but I'll just say
I
it like
myself
this.
love that question.
Yeah,
I love
because
Euthyphro's dilemma.
yeah, me too, bro. It's just always messing me up when they use the word pious itself. So what I believe is that God creates morality. You know what I'm saying? And it depends on God. It's not independent of God. So that's my question. I mean, that's my answer. You know what I'm saying? It just messes me up when I'm reading the word pious, I guess. We got Vinny with the laughing emojis. Maria was like mediator. I don't know. I don't know why she said that. Hey, Josh kept spamming. He kept saying, "Let me land my plane." Let me land my plane. Is incest morality wrong in God's eyes, even though he told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and their children procreated with their siblings? It's a good question, man. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's out of context. So his argument is that morals change with society. Yeah, that's Razor's position. She said, let's get back to the facts and statistics. Man, I can't bring no statistics with morality. That's kind of rough. Cordell said people create their morals. Hey, shout out to Lise. No, you're good. You're all good, bro. Gabe, you're all good. He meant to type Socrates, not Plato.
You could bring up statistics, but you'd be a moral empiricist, is what you would be called, which is a version of moral realism.
I'll use that. I'll use some, but that's not gonna be my main argument. Bro. Hey, we always go into the a priori knowledge, man. This is the type of cats we are. You know what I'm saying? And I loved how. My sister said this. She said the professional moderation is fire. So she's giving you props, Egg.
And much praise. Too much praise. Appreciate it though.
Had to get my boy Egg in this joint to moderate this joint. I forgot what I was even about to say, but forget it. I was about to say this, Egg. I appreciate you stopping at a certain point because I think it was getting kind of like, back and forth or circle-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, we would just be repeating, I think, where we were at. So I think a good time to move on.
100%. That was the last one. Last one. So if Razor is ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I think for the sake of fairness here, I think Bless should start us off here in this new topic, systemic racism versus cultural explanation. I think I want to know as well what Bless means, right, by his position, first and foremost. So I think, let's start with you, Blessed, if you're both ready.
Yeah, systemic racism, I would give the definition that historical policies created lasting inequality. Can I get a definition by Razor?
A definition of systemic racism?
Yeah, what is systemic racism?
I got the same thing as you.
Okay.
Here in my notes.
Oh. Okay. I have. Is it okay if I read out something so I can give my position more clearly?
Sure.
Okay. So, California University historian Herbert Gutman in The Black Family in Slavery and Freedom found that from the 1880s to 1925, the typical black family was a two-parent household. Gutman found that in 1925, only 3% of black families in New York were headed by a woman under 30, right? So, I got that, and I'm adding data from Thomas Sowell. So, from the 1960s, in the 1960s, there was only 22% of single motherhood, right? In 1995, it went to 67%. The welfare expansion occurred in between, right? And then I'm adding in Thomas Sowell's book Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, he talks about how crime and father absence has trends in the homicide rate. In the 1940s, the crime went down 18%. And then in the 1950s, it went down 22%. But in the 1960s, the homicide rate went up 89%. So, the audience might be asking, why are you citing the statistics? Because the reason why I'm citing the statistics, because you can see the less fathers that are in the black communities, that is one of the main causes of poverty and crime and STD rates and lower education. So my argument is not that there's no such thing as racism. My argument is that black fatherlessness caused the biggest downfall in the black communities because most black people were actually literate before the 1960s.
Okay. What you want? You want to hear my argument?
Yeah, or anything that you have, like unless you have something to debunk these statistics that I just put out.
I got my own statistic. We'll get there. We'll get there. Um, where I want to start. Okay. Systemic racism is real and still active in our communities. The other side wants you to believe that it's all on black people and our culture, that we're responsible for all the disadvantages that we face, but I disagree. Do I believe that black people could be better off than we are in society? I do, but we cannot ignore the history and how we ended up in our current positions in society. I always say that it starts with education. If black kids do not have the resources to succeed, then they are doomed from the start. Lack of education leads to low paying jobs and low income communities. When there's an increase in crime, they will say that's just how the black people are. They're violent and they don't want to do right. In all reality, there's systems put in place that put them into these lifestyles, which I can understand the statement of saying they don't have to commit crime and they can do better. But realistically, we're all crabs in a barrel trying to climb out while unfortunately bringing each other down. So there may be resources that we can hunt for and do better, but their environment prevents it. And the education that we're given doesn't tell them where to go in search of this information. And when these people grow up under the poor conditions, they have children in the same environment of ignorance and poverty, and the cycle continues. So I'd actually offer a middle ground, and I'd be willing to compromise that systemic racism impacted the culture negatively, but it's not the explanation.
Okay. So why do you think the crime rate is higher after the 1960s with the welfare state expansion, right? When slavery was the worst thing that could ever happen to black people?
Wait, why do I think after slavery what?
So if you looked at the statistics, you can see that the crime rate in black communities are much higher after the 1960s than after slavery in the 1860s. So why is the crime rate much higher if slavery is the worst thing that can happen to black people?
I don't see the correlation to slavery.
Because slavery, because the arguments, one of the biggest arguments that people make is that slavery is one of the biggest causes of the black community, the biggest downfalls, right? So
Okay, I see. Okay.
So because that it's a long lasting, the argument is that it's a long lasting effect from slavery. But what I'm arguing is that in the 1950s, you can see that the crime rate is going down, and there's 2-parent households in the 1950s. But after the 1960s, you see that there's most black kids don't grow up in 2-parent households. So what I see is that there's a correlation. So my question to you is why is the crime rate higher if the black communities get more redistribution than in the time of slavery?
Because they got an answer.
I'd say it is the leading. That's definitely the starting cause. Like that's slavery led into what the Jim Crow era. After that, like, we didn't get a break from disadvantages. Like, but you're mentioning crime. I mean, crime. I'm sure crime was kind of low when you're getting dogs tossed on you and hit with hoses and shit in this time. Like, I don't
What do you
like
mean?
crime. Like, once we and you're ignoring the environmental factor of it as well.
What I don't understand. I don't understand what dogs. You would think that there will be more crime if slavery was one of the leading impacts to why black communities are in the worst place. There should have been higher crime rates in the 1930s and the 1920s or in the 1950s than now when there's more redistribution to the black communities. Like, you guys got more privilege now, is my argument.
But the environment is worse.
Because what do you mean the environment is worse? There was no such thing as a welfare state in food stamps in 1930s. But the crime rate now is higher after the 1960s when there are food stamps and air conditioning houses. Like, that doesn't make sense.
So what are you trying? Your argument is that black people are doing. That's what I said in my argument already. Like, that's why I propose. Okay, but I
You're
mean,
not offering no justification.
we're already inside of low income community. That's what I was trying to argue with you already, and the resources that we have.
But what I'm saying though, if you're not understanding the event timeline, what I'm trying to say, if slavery is the worst thing that can happen to black people, after slavery, it should have been more higher. I just gave you a source. I just gave you a source, Thomas Sowell.
Where's the source?
I just gave you Thomas Sowell, an economist. I just gave you the murder rate, bro. Remember in my opening statement? So what I'm saying is that after slavery, if this is a whole bunch of calls,
I need eggs to do the fact check though. I can't. That's what I just understand.
Sorry. Are you asking me to fact check what he said or his source?
I just gave him a source.
The source, but can you fact check that murder was higher when the 1950s?
So he said. So what Bless seems to have said, right, is that from the time period between the end of slavery and the 1950s, the murder rate of African Americans was much lower than it begins to become after the 1950s. So after the 1950s, murder rate starts to climb. But between then, it either kept a steady pace or a low pace?
Yeah, lower pace than now, because people are getting drilled in Chicago now. Like, people are getting drilled. So why, if slavery is the cause of everything, there should have been a higher crime rate between the 1860s and the 1950s. It should have never came in the 1960s. But what I'm arguing is that fatherlessness in the household actually caused the rise in these communities, because it doesn't match up, right? So fatherlessness in the black communities, the people that have no fathers, you're more likely to become a criminal. You're more likely to have less education, a lower IQ level, right? But if you see the families, right, the black people that are married, the black married couples, their poverty rate is under 10%. So it's only a small percentage of black people that are married that are actually poor. So you can see the cultural differences between a black married couple and an average single black person. So how is it systemic racism when the black married couple tends to outcompete a single white parent of any gender?
My bad. Y'all didn't fact check it for me. I had to do it
What
myself.
do you mean? All right, look up. I'm giving you the real source, Thomas Sowell. Look up Thomas Sowell. Wealth, Poverty, and Politics. His book was in 2015. I'm giving you the direct source. You can't look. I mean, depending on the source, bro. I mean, I'm giving you the actual book, and he's an academic. Like, his stuff is peer reviewed.
I'm trying to see. Okay, because you're saying that crime in the African American community was lower from slavery to the 1950s. Well, yeah, from slavery to the 1950s.
It was decreasing. The rate was decreasing.
Oh, it was lower in the time from slavery to the 1950s.
Yeah. By the data I gave was the 1950s. I'm pretty sure in the 1960s. No, the 1940s to the 1950s, the crime rate was decreasing. So the rate was decreasing. That means there was less murder. And then after the 1960s, the crime rate started to rise.
Okay, I suppose.
And Blessed also said that he sees, at least this is what his source says, that you also see a rise in single parent and mother led households in that time. So the lack of the present of fathers as the head of a household at that same time.
Yes, because you can see the crime rate increasing in terms of the white single parent. If everything's based off of racism, then the white person, their crime rate should have never skyrocketed. Their income should stay steady. But what we see is in single parent white households of either gender, the crime rate increases. The murder rate increases. You can see the income decreases economically. So I don't understand why it's systemic racism when black married couples outcompete the white people on average that are single. It looks like it's more of a cultural practice.
I can't agree with you on that one, unfortunately. Okay. My bad.
I think a good place to start here, Razor, just as a piece of advice, is if you have an example, either from outside of you or from your own personal life, it doesn't matter if it's personal or not. I think, if you have an example which you can prove within the example, change the outcome of your life. not by way of any circumstance which you could compare to someone with a different race in the same circumstance, but instead you had a radically different outcome from someone of a different race in the same circumstance. If you even have one example of that, I
I
think you can
have my
springboard.
statistics. It's just
Mhm.
his aren't based on now. They're 1950, so I'm
No,
trying to
it's
fact
not.
check
Hold
his. I'm
on,
trying to fact check
wait.
your stuff
No, my
because you're asking the question of why. Like I don't know. Like that's
bro,
like I
hold
gotta
on.
look into
Well,
it
Razor,
Hold
you
really
on,
don't
wait.
see what's going
necessarily
on. But
need to.
I just
Hold
gotta
on.
fact check.
Yeah,
I just gotta
moderator,
fact
let
check what you
Hold
said.
on,
I
guys.
couldn't let you just
Hold
do
on,
your
both
thing and
guys.
stuff.
Hold on, just a second, guys. You don't have to, Razor. You don't have to necessarily debunk or what have you his statistics. We could take them as true, especially if your statistics seem to point towards something else, right? If your statistics point towards something else, it would inherently undermine his statistics, right? If there are statistics that you can positively claim have are relevant, right, to this effect that you want to talk about, then it would by its own nature undermine his own statistics as well. So I think if you just present what it is you have and what it is your argument is based on, I think you'll find that it'll fall into place. You don't necessarily need to undermine his statistics right now.
Yeah.
You can just say what you need to say.
All right, I got you. All right. So in my research, you can search it up if you need to. Black people are 3 times more likely to die by the police than white people, and 4.5 times more likely to be incarcerated than white people. In 2018, systemic racism in the healthcare system cost the United States $400 billion, and 2/3 of that money is from premature deaths in black people. 83% of black people in America agree that racism is widespread, and 75% of black people have experienced discrimination. Black students are 2 times more likely to be arrested at school than their white peers. And black students only make up 7% of AP STEM course enrollment, although making up 15% of the total high school population. So it's just a fact that schools with higher minority populations have predominantly lower resources. And my argument is that there's systems in place within law enforcement that give black people a disadvantage. There's systems in place in healthcare that give black people a disadvantage. And there's systems in place in education that give black people a disadvantage.
So, what systems in place, what laws in place are actually systemic and causing black people not to rise?
Why are you specifically saying laws?
Why are you saying systemic?
Because there's
What is
a governing force behind the actions.
like what?
What do you mean?
Is it a law or do you think it's just people?
Why do you believe it's
What is
the
what's
why do you
systemic?
believe it the why do you believe it's the um why do you believe it's got to be law based?
Well, you're the one who's making the claim of it's systemic racism, right? So I don't even understand your definition of systemic racism, right? You're sitting there saying that you made a whole bunch of claims of like, oh, black people are more likely to be in poverty and black people are more likely to die by the police and stuff like that. But if you look at my statistics, it actually proves my statistics even further. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you is what do you mean by systemic? Because you made claims saying that there are systems or laws in place or something that's keeping black people from not achieving. But if you look at black married couples, they are achieving. So what is systemic racism? Like we
You
gotta
keep
define that.
correlating it to something different. And
How?
I'm trying to tell you that the systemic racism is the institutional bias that there is. Like there doesn't have to necessarily be a specific law in place. There's a governing factor that's making things like this happen. Just because you and I don't know about it, these disparities shouldn't be there.
So
And that's
just because there's disparities doesn't mean that it's based off of discrimination. So why is the average Asian man making more money than the average white man?
I'd have to argue career or something. It
Okay,
would have
so
to
if
be
it's
career
systemic
based.
racism, why would the white man be racist towards the other white man?
He said towards the other white man.
Yeah, because if it's systemic racism and you're saying that white people have the advantage, the white person should get above the Asian person.
They are. What do you? Why?
What?
Why? Where are you
How?
getting at there?
Bro,
Where are you
like
getting that they're not?
Asian people on average make more money than the average white man in America. On average.
Okay.
So your claim is that it's systemically racism. There's systemic racism, right? But if that were true, then the average white man should outcompete the average Asian man economically.
You're still ignoring slavery.
What do you mean? What does slavery have to Yo, what does slavery have to do with anything, bro?
What do you mean? You brought it up before. It's the leading cause to, it's the starting factor to Black people's, well, yeah, African Americans' time here.
Yeah, but I'm arguing this. Remember my opening in the opening statement, I actually gave a true statistic that everybody in the audience has to listen to. From 1940s to the 1960s, the Black poverty rate went from 87% to 47%. So you can see that Black people, even during the time of so much racism, you can see that they're still climbing the economic ladder to the highest levels, right? And now Black people are more dependent on the system. Why? Because there's no fathers in the households, right? So it's
Is
not
that why, or is it because of the systems that were put in place? Like, would you call the welfare system a law? It's not, but it's a system put in place that unfortunately gives incentive for poor, low-income communities.
Yeah, but that's for
And
Black
that's a
and white.
system.
That's anybody that's on the system.
Now
Like
you want to bring up the white person. You've been talking about the welfare system, about the Black person this
hold on.
entire time.
I know.
Like,
I'm saying that
this is what we're speaking about.
what I'm saying is
So
that slavery, right? After slavery, there was mainly two parents in the household, which that's how the Black people were climbing the ladder economically. But after, the welfare state, there's less fathers in the household. Right? And you're going to have to offer justification that less fathers in the household is based off of racism and not compassion, because a lot of liberals tend to be compassionate. That's why they want to give Black people, redistribution to these communities. So it's on you to justify that the liberal welfare state is based off of racism and not compassion.
But why would that be a cultural explanation if you said yourself that the people were doing fine after slavery?
What? I don't understand your question. What do you mean?
You said that Black people were well off after slavery and they were progressing economically.
Yeah.
So if it's a cultural explanation, then why is it all of a sudden a sudden shift in culture?
Because of the Black fathers after the 1960s,
No,
like I said.
that's not
Wait,
the
I
case.
have data. I have data in the side chat that shows that Black fatherless absence actually leads to, people being more likely to, commit crimes.
But why are we putting it on Black? I'm sure it's higher with most fatherless children.
That's my point. So it's not systemic. You're proving my point.
Yeah, that's what his statistic does actually say. It's not an African American statistic. It's
Right.
actually a
Like
statistic
what?
about all
Right.
fatherless.
So my point is this: is that if it's happening in white communities, right, then it's not systemic. It's based off of culture. So if Black people tend to have less fathers in the household, that means that they will be more likely to be poor. But if you look at, like I said, Black married couples, most Black married couples are not poor because of their culture. They tend to focus on God. They focus on community. They have good, decent job. They probably don't do drugs as much. There's
That
And you can,
doesn't that doesn't that doesn't that doesn't that doesn't register because you're saying that the culture of black people is to be married and be successful, but you're also saying their culture is to be destructive and
no,
poor.
I'm not saying it now. Now there is a lot of, I don't want to sound racist and stuff like that, but I would say this, that we do promote a lot of like crime in the community. Like based off of rappers, niggas want to be NBA YoungBoy, niggas want to be Fabio Foreign, and I'm not saying they're the cause of it, but they're the product of the community too. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that's a
they have a place in causing these things. But I would say this, in the 1950s, it wasn't like a whole bunch of NBA young boys was running around in the 1950s. Niggas was trying to be Malcolm X. Niggas was trying to be like MLK.
I think that's a inappropriate I think that's a inappropriate assumption and
How?
generalization, to be honest.
How
Like
many niggas
that's
you
like
know?
saying
Be real, be real.
that's
How
like
many
saying there
niggas?
hasn't been thousands of white people that killed each killed each other from
They
video
do.
games
They do.
and a whole bunch of white people
They
that
do.
listened to Marilyn Manson and killed people type shit. How are
They
you gonna
do.
blame the rap music and things in the like that's what I'm and like I feel like you're one of the people to talk about black on black crime. Like it's not a thing, it's just crime
What do
type
you
shit.
mean it's not
It,
crime?
Like
it,
There
white
is black on
white
black
like
crime,
this
to
is
be honest.
like there's systems in place that predate us historically have been put in place to disadvantage black people,
How?
and
You're not
just based
offering
off
no
of the statistics that I
justification.
showed you,
You haven't
it
offered
shows
no
you mass
justification.
incarceration of black people, it shows you mass death of black
When
people,
was mass
it shows you
incarceration?
mishand what do you
What year? What year was mass incarceration?
what do you
What
mean what year?
Yeah, what year was mass incarceration? It's Do you know the answer to this?
That's a odd, I don't
After
understand how that can do it.
1960s, after the fathers was kicked out of the
Oh my,
home. It
here he
proves
goes
my
again.
point that
This
more
thing.
black
Because
people were
before
getting
that
incarcerated.
they were slave. I don't understand why
What do
you
you
keep
mean they were
saying this.
slaves? What is
Like
it? You keep bringing up
before,
slavery like it has
like
anything
you got
to justify your
slavery,
claims.
you got them with them trying to get basic human rights still. Then you have the Great Depression where crime increases,
But
and
not
then
as
you
much as
have
now.
the Jim Crow era. Then you have like I don't understand. Like it's
But
been
why?
back to back
Okay,
disadvantage eras.
so I'm saying if there's no disadvantage right now, why is the crime rate higher now than in the 1950s when there was Jim Crow?
Because now the system is fully in place and we've been
Fully,
indoctrinated
what does that
into
mean?
it by
What does fully in
huh?
place mean?
That it's been here for a while. Like we already are products of our environment at this point in time. Like
Listen,
at earlier on, and when it's just building up and you see these surges in success as it should have been, then the disadvantage get put in place and bring us a step back. And I even said inside of my opening argument that I do believe that black people could be further. Like I'm not giving no room for that.
right, of
I
course.
mean, yeah, I'm not leaving it it just tied up, you feel me? But at the same time, I feel like it would be naive to sit here and ignore the racial disparities that we see every day in society.
Listen, bro. Listen. Your argument, it just, I respect your
And
argument,
and we spoke
but
about
this is the
DEI
thing.
earlier.
This
Like
is the
that
thing.
shows that people are
No,
disadvantaged
hold
right
on. Let
there
me
because
land
they
my
don't
plane.
have
Let me
the
land my
same
plane.
opportunities.
That you're sitting there saying this, right? But your logical conclusion doesn't make sense, because since slavery was the worst thing that happened to black people, there should have been in the from the time of slavery to the 1960s, there should have been a higher crime rate at that time, right? Then
That's all
now
you're going
when there
back
hold
to.
on. Yes, because you haven't debunked it. You have not
That's the
debunked
one.
anything.
That's the one. Is that time period between slavery and
Right, but
1950?
you're
I
saying,
don't know
but
why.
why
Why
are,
you're stuck on
but
that?
why are
We're
African
talking about
Americans,
now, the past 100,
African
200 years.
Americans,
Like,
why are African Americans committing more crimes now than ever? You have not debunked the fatherlessness as an explanation. You haven't
Because I
debunked
don't
it.
think it is. Even Egg said that's in both communities. It's not necessarily a black thing.
I
You
didn't
keep
say it
putting
was a black thing. I'm saying it's more of a black thing.
and there was never a claim for that ever. There was
How is it
never no
not a
evidence for
claim?
it. He, he said it was in
Egg
both
said
it's not
that
just a black
he's not
thing.
making the. Egg said that I wasn't making the claim that, oh, it's just because people are black, therefore they commit crimes. No, that's stupid. No, I'm saying that if black fathers was in the household more, there will be less crime. Just like that's why I gave the example of
No,
black
he
marriage.
fact
Hold
checked
on,
you
wait,
and
wait,
he
wait. Let me
said
land my plane. Let me land my plane. That's why I
you
made
can
the.
after
Hold
we
on, let me land my plane. Let me land my
clarify.
plane. So that's why I made the claim of black married couples, because black married couples have two-parent households and their kids are more likely to be successful. So you haven't debunked none of my statistics.
Because even like I just said, Eggs fact checked that. Like nobody's debating. You keep putting, but you keep saying you're not putting it on black people, but you are. Eggs even he supported what you said. Like fatherless homes is gonna be worse, but it's
Well, it's
not
true.
necessarily a black thing. It's
Why do you keep
it's
trying
a
to make it
black
seem like I'm just saying that black people are like
because you are. That's
how?
like
What I'm saying,
we
I'm
already
literally
agreed
saying
that black and white people fatherless. It's in the same like because you keep you keep
he's straw
hammering
manning me,
on
bro.
it. You
You're
keep
straw
hammering
manning me,
on it.
bro. You're
Like
straw manning me. You haven't gave an explanation. All you said that
because
well,
it's a fatherless
slavery.
home, we agree. Like, but you're saying it's only black for some reason. Like
No,
it's
I didn't say.
everybody.
See, he's
If
straw manning me, Egg. He's
it's
straw
a
manning me.
fatherless
I
environment,
said
it's
that
gonna
it's.
be negative.
I'm saying that
All right,
black
guys, hold on.
community.
Hold on, guys.
He's straw
I
manning me.
I will say that I'm not sure. I don't think it's exactly intended to be a straw man. I think he might just be. I think what you are saying, Blessed, from what I can tell, what you are saying is that there is, for some reason, starting in the 1960s, a cultural trend
Yes.
of black households becoming more fatherless
Yes.
than any other group of people.
Yes.
And you also said, so these things are not linked necessarily, but you said also, and provided in the side there, right? The statistics about fatherlessness in all races
Yes.
and the outcomes that has, right? It changes the outcomes in crime, it changes the outcomes in poverty, etc.
Yes.
And so you're not making you're not making a direct link to these two things, but you are saying they are linked, but only by the outcome, right?
Yes.
You're saying that the trend, if continued, which it has been, is your claim, the trend leads to more black families not with a father in the household, and that, of course, as you're saying it is logically obvious by both of these things that it would be the case that black families and black communities will experience more poverty and more crime. That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
Exactly.
You're building a bridge between the two. You're not saying the bridge exists necessarily, but you're building the bridge. That's your argument.
Yes, and it's not caused by slavery because, like I said before, in the after slavery, in Herbert Gutman's book, a historian, he claims that most black kids grew up in two-parent households, which that means that there was less crime, right? And we see that in the data that I provided. But what I'm saying is that it's on Razor to add justification that the welfare state is racist and keeping black people down because there's more crime now than ever, right? So he has to offer justification.
If I might steel man Razor real quick before Razor responds, I know what Razor's response is. It is what he told you already, which is that he believes the systemic racism. And Razor, please correct me if I'm wrong right after this. I'm just going to say it quickly. He believes that the systemic racism is no longer necessarily a part of any one, policy or law or even multiple, but instead that it is a societal and cultural factor which has been ingrained in all races of people. Is that what you think, Razor?
I think You almost had it, but it's ingrained in, well, I'd say it's just targeted towards minorities. I won't even specific, but I want to say something because I, I can never just let something slide by. And it's because you keep saying that after the welfare system, crime went up, is what you said? Bless.
Hold on, my bad. Yes, after the welfare state, crime went up.
But you also said that before the 1950s, what?
Right in the 1950s, the crime rate was going down. In the 1950s, but after the 1960s, crime rate went up. And that's after the
Okay,
fathers left the home.
but I had to I had to fact check it. See, but the welfare system was created in the 1930s during the Great Depression to combat poverty and unemployment.
I
So if
said
you're saying that
expansion. I said
after,
expansion.
no, that's why I just asked. See, this
I
be
said that in
something.
my opening statement, did I not?
That's like 15 minutes ago. like I couldn't tell you,
Wait,
bro.
so there
Yeah,
was no food stamps and stuff
but
like that and
welfare
expansion to
welfare
that degree.
was created in
Wait,
that time.
where are you getting this, bro? What do you mean by it? Because this is I'm saying the welfare state expanded in the 1960s.
I'm getting this from the Social Welfare History Project. This is my source. And the welfare program started in 1932 to
So
1935.
what kind of policies? What do you mean?
It
It could start, but what is the policies though?
it started initiatives like Medicaid and food stamps in the 1960s. So if there's
Okay,
all
so
this,
so
well,
you just
that's
proved
what
my
you're
point.
talking about specifically.
1960s. The
That's what you're
expansion.
talking about
I said
specifically.
expansion in my opening statement. Expansion.
But you're ignoring from 1930 to 1960.
Bro, was there food stamps in the 1960s? I mean, in the 1930s when it first started.
No, but this is
Okay,
also the
so I
time
just
that you
said the
said this is
expansion.
also the time that you said that crime was lower.
Yes, it was.
So if it went up in the 1960s after food stamps, why why
Why?
is that?
Because
Why
I'm telling you why.
what do you mean?
I lived on welfare, bro. And if you lived on like welfare and AMHA and stuff, if there's a person in your household that makes too much money, they will take away your government assistance. So the expansion of welfare state, like the food stamps, if there was a black father in the household, they would take away your food stamps. So that's why it was an initiative and an incentive to kick out the black fathers. So you're trying to
And
debunk me.
is that
Hold
not
on,
systemic
wait.
racism?
How
Like
is that
what? This is
systemic
what I
racism when
said.
it happens to
This is what I
white
said
people?
earlier.
It happens to
Huh?
white people. How is that systemic racism?
It happens. What happens to white people?
That the same exact qualities, if there's too much, if you make too much money on welfare,
Yes,
they
of
take it
course.
away. So how is that
You're
systemic
ignoring
racism? How is that systemic
but you're
racism?
ignoring the gravity of black people being the minority in America.
How is that
Majority of black
racism? You're
people
not
live
offering no
in
justification for racism.
middle class
If
to
it
below poverty
it
conditions. Majority of black
if
people.
it
So
happens to white
if they
people,
were
that's not
forced into this
racist.
position off rip after building America,
It
which
happens to
we're
poor
not going to
white
get
people.
into,
So
like after building America
your
and
justification for racism is incorrect. Why? Because it happens to white people. My mom was white.
but see, this is where we get into statistics again. White people make up a majority of the United States. That's not
Right?
equivalent to black people's poor,
Right.
low-income communities.
So there's more white people on welfare because there's more because there's more
White
white
people.
people. So but you're not
Yes.
offering any justification that it's racist. Like, you're not offering
What do
any
you
justification.
mean? Because of the the fact you're missing the fact that why the black people are in the low-income communities.
What do you mean? I don't understand your
If
justification.
you get forced into a low-income community, off rip, if you're already disadvantaged, down bad type shit, and more policies and things get put into place, keeping you disadvantaged, keeping you down, and majority of your race is living in low to middle class income, then, like I said earlier in my opening statement, that crime is going to be higher. It's just naturally what happens in poor conditions.
Yes, and it
Crime,
happened to Jews.
and
It
then you
happened
talk
to
about the
Irish.
1960s with welfare, but you don't talk about 20 years later in the 80s with Reaganomics and cocaine being put into and crack being put into our communities as well. Like, these are things that were put in place, not necessarily a law, but systems behind the scenes that were put in place to disadvantage our people
You just keep saying
and
it's put in place to just to,
and
but you
to
haven't,
overlook that is
bro.
crazy.
You have not offered not one justification that is based off of racism, though. Because there's more. There's white people on welfare. There's Jews that came to this country poor, and they're the minority that rise up to the top. There's Asians that do the same thing, minorities that face mad discrimination. So
But
and you haven't
you're missing cultural
and you haven't
factors.
debunked the black married couples, bro. Why are black married couples doing better than most black people, bro? You haven't
Because
debunked
they're
it.
married. We've already gone through this.
You haven't
Like,
debunked it.
fatherless homes do worse. We moved past that, bro. Like, why do we keep? There was a
Because you haven't
justification
debunked
that the
anything,
home was
bro.
fatherless. Like, I don't understand.
You haven't
What is there
debunked
to
it.
debunk? That fatherless homes are worse off than two-parent households?
Right.
How's that
So I'm
something for me
sending.
to debunk? That's
So
true.
you see the correlation in the
I don't.
1930s, bro. What do you mean?
Because you
I
keep
just
saying
gave
this, but
you
you're
it.
not
I just
telling
gave you the
why the black
justification.
man is leaving the home.
I
You're
just
not
gave
telling
you
me
because
that at all.
I just said that because of the welfare state.
What about it? You
It
said
offers
that the incentive
incentives.
was for black mothers to stay on welfare because the
Yes.
black father left the home.
Yes.
So what?
Yes.
So what
But
incentive does the black man have for leaving his family?
he leaves, so
Nothing.
he
Like, there's
leaves.
nothing. There's
Listen, let
nothing
me land my
there.
plane. Let me land my plane. The black man leaves because now the woman has enough resources and doesn't need a man no more. Now we get into feminism ideology as well. So we kick the black man out the household, right? And now the mothers are dependent on the system. There's no economic growth within the black community. To grow, you can't stay on welfare for the rest of your life and not grow. But what you're saying is it's based off of systemic racism, which is incorrect, because the people that are white or the people that are Asian or the people that are Jews that do the same exact thing, those people stay dependent on the system as well. So you haven't offered no justification.
Because who
Gentlemen,
is the welfare system and these acts targeted to? That's what you're making it seem like it was targeted for white people. White people make up the majority of the United States, and the majority of white people are not low income, but the majority of black people and minorities are low income. Then what are these systems targeted? And you said it yourself that it provides this incentive for there to be single family households. So who is it targeting for there
It's
to not
targeting all
be
poor
a
gentlemen,
people.
real
It's not
structure in the
targeting
community?
black people. It's targeting
gentlemen,
all poor
gentlemen.
people.
Let's we're going on 2 hours 22 minutes total time as of right now. I think we've given all these topics a lot of time. I know that there's definitely more you guys could talk about on this topic, it seems like. But I think for the sake of, the structure here, and I think as well we've been at this for some time, I think it would probably be best if we maybe make some closing statements,
Yes.
and we wrap it up here, and kind of end this get the show on the road.
Okay. I'm down with that. I gotta go anyways, bro. So thank you for stopping it. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, bro. I mean, I'm open to him going, if that's cool.
Yeah, both of you just try to make a quick, like, just 2 minute, right? Like a 2 minute max, like closing statement about how you feel about whatever of these topics you want to bring up, and then we'll kind of we'll say goodbye to the audience.
Okay. You go ahead, bro.
Well, shit. I'd just like to reiterate that morals are culturally created over time, and we as a society determine what's deemed immoral or not. And although my opponent spoke about God, like I said, that's subjective to the person and their belief and what their God allows. I'd also like to say how DEI does break down systemic barriers that have been in place and promotes opportunity for people they didn't have before. And it is focused on merit. It just provides opportunities to people that they normally wouldn't be able to obtain. It doesn't negate the qualifications of the individual. And I'd also like to say that there are racial disparities that we experience due to systems and policies made throughout history in order to maintain inequality. My opponent also spoke about how is it targeted towards Black people, but I would like to state that we are the original minority factor in America. Like, you can't compare our struggles and past history here to the struggles and history of people from another place that migrated here after it's the land of the free, and we made it that way. And that's how I'd like to close out.
And Blessed, your closing statement for the night.
Well, I want to thank my boy Razor Brooks for coming out to this debate, and Egg for moderating this debate once again. I appreciate it a lot. I think Razor definitely offered some strong arguments, but I don't think he was able to debunk the fatherlessness in the households and how that led to higher crime rates after the 1960s. If slavery was the main cause of everything, you would see that after slavery, the Black communities would have a higher crime rate, which we don't see that. We see the higher crime rate after the 1960s. When it comes down to meta ethics, right? I just don't believe that Razor has any grounding, so I don't think he can offer any type of arguments in terms of if a society wants to create something, like create morals or laws that benefit them or that are amoral, right? When I ground my belief systems in God and divine command theory, you will see that if God says that murder is wrong, that's an objective standard independent of the mind, right? Independent of the mind that grounds my morality, which equals objective truth, right? And God's laws are all grounded in God's character, right? When it comes down to DEI, like I said, DEI is a good idea, but it is not a good reality, right? So we can see a lot of people get into these fields that are not ready because they haven't met the requirements that it takes to be in these Ivy League schools or the University of California. We need quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? And it's not me saying that African Americans can't do it or minorities can't do it, but we need a cultural shift before we are able to do these things. We can't just be like, oh yeah, this guy's African American, let him in. Because what happens is that you will see that these people will be more likely to get kicked out of school or be on academic probation when they could have just went to a public school like Akron University or something like that and be at the top of their class, right? So, yeah, that's my closing statements.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for coming out here today, and coming before an audience of people to share your thoughts and feelings and opinions and to stand up for them intellectually and emotionally, and before all the people here. I think, this is the kind of thing that, people need to do, have tough conversations with each other. I want to thank the audience, thank you guys for being here, listening to all this, dealing with our intermissions. And I hope you all enjoyed yourselves very much so. And I hope you follow Blessed Mindset here.
Thanks, Egg. I appreciate it, brother. And thank you, Razor Brooks. I appreciate you coming out, bro.
Sure, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It was a good debate. People don't always see eye to eye. Everybody can have difference in opinion, but it's still a good practice for everybody to share their opinions and get different perspectives.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, all right, guys, I'm about to go ahead and end this live whenever I figure out how to end this live. But I appreciate y'all for coming out, man. I love y'all, man. Be safe.
Stay safe.
Oh, bro, I'm still live, Egg. I don't
Stay
know how
safe.
to stop this.
Stop it.
Oh man, it says delete the video, save the video. Egg. I don't
Stay
know how
safe.
to stop this.
Stop. Well, definitely save the video, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I don't know how to end on Facebook personally. I'm not sure. Well, definitely save the video, but just I don't know.
Oh man, what the? Am I still live?
Everybody to share their opinions.
Oh, how do I end? This is tweaky. My bad, Egg. Give me a sec, bro.
So good.
My bad, Egg. Give me a sec, bro. Chat, how I end this? Oh, I was able just to go in and end it last time. Egg, if you got something to do, you can slide out. I just want to say thank you though, bro. Like you really did an amazing job, bro.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Yeah, no, it was fun. This was fun. This was good. You guys had a good debate. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, 100%, bro. That's so fire, bro. So you'll be open to moderating other debates too?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could definitely do that for you. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. Cause I'm trying to find a opponent for you. I haven't found nobody yet, man. If you was still down for that type of vibe. I'm trying to find a opponent for you. I haven't found nobody yet, man.
Yeah, I'd be willing to do a debate. I'm definitely more interested in the moderating a debate personally, but
Yeah, if you're cool with just like going ahead and just moderating, I mean, that's cool too, bro.
yeah, I enjoyed moderating for sure.